and Edward and Yesenia Murray. Of course, everyone knows in the morning hours of January 16th, there was a period of severe weather, a confirmed EF1 tornado touchdown in Charlotte County, and a short time later, confirmed EF2 tornado touchdown in Lee County. And of course, there was already sustained winds that were happening. Earlier this week, unfortunately, the state of Florida received notification that the Biden administration denied Florida's request for individual assistance to support Floridians who were displaced by the tornadoes that hit a few weeks ago in Charlotte and Lee counties. Despite the federal government's choice to decline assistance, it's our view in the state of Florida that we need to remain committed to helping the people of Lee and Charlotte counties. We had obviously Kevin Guthrie here immediately, and the counties and the charities have really done a lot of great work to help folks. But I have directed our Department of Emergency Management to immediately appeal this decision, and they've begun working through that process. They're also identifying other forms of individual of assistance that may be available. But this is kind of the main program that we use in disaster relief and recovery operations. And I think people realize, many people realize here, and I don't know if everyone realizes outside of here, you had 158 homes that were either destroyed or sustained major damage. Almost 300 residents were displaced as a result of these tornadoes. And this is disproportionately what people mostly would consider a more vulnerable population. Almost all senior citizens, 84% are receiving Social Security. Many of the residents, Social Security is their sole source of income. And so they're still cleaning up debris. People are still trying to find stable housing. People have gotten into rental units. Some people are staying with friends. But it's not that easy to just pick up and move to a new home, particularly in a state like Florida where there's a lot of demand for this. And then also you look at all the inflation that we've seen. Stuff's a lot more expensive than it was just a year or two ago. So we understand the challenges that folks are facing. As soon as the tornadoes hit, Florida Department of Emergency Management had deployed disaster staff, recovery staff into the impacted counties. They conducted a damage assessment with county officials, with FEMA, and with the U.S. Small Business Administration. I then declared a state of emergency, and the main reason for that was to be able to unlock our request to the Biden administration for individual assistance. And we requested all programs under individual assistance to provide relief for the impacted communities. Unfortunately, that request was denied. I thank the counties here for working really hard, but we realize that they've worked hard. We want to maximize the amount of support that we can get, and we need more assistance. So that's why we're appealing the decision. We're going to continue to fight. And look, these things should be above politics when people have needs like this. And if you look at since Biden's been president, it seems like whatever they can do to thumb their nose at Florida, they try to do it. I mean, they cut our monoclonal antibody funding. It's true. They cut our monoclonal antibody funding at the end of last summer when we had helped tens of thousands of Floridians stay out of the hospital. We no doubt save lives from having that. It was very successful. And then they seized control of it and dramatically reduced the allotment to the state of Florida. We passed and I signed the prescription drug bill so that we could purchase large-scale amounts of drugs cheaper from Canadian companies. And I worked with President Trump to get that done. And it's still sitting around Washington and has not been approved by the Biden administration. So we literally have a warehouse in Central Florida that's ready to receive all this. We'd save tens of millions of dollars, but yet no approve, even though we were the first state to submit it and really the state that led to all of that. So you always see instances in which Florida, they're trying to be stuck. I think it's a mistake to use politics with this. I think you got to help people when they need it, and that's what we've done in the state of Florida. Whether it's a place like Southwest Florida, we want to be here. Whether it's other parts of the state, with COVID, a lot of the things we did first in COVID, we did a lot in Broward County with testing and vaccination sites, all these different things, and we were happy to do that, and we're going to continue to work. So we want to be able to get relief to the people that need the relief. I have Kevin Guthrie here. He's going to continue to work through that. We are going to ask for relief for these folks, and hopefully we'll be able to get it, because that's what these programs are for. When you have really severe events, and some of these things, like with tornadoes, the thing is, it can be real severe in one area, and you could go down the street, you wouldn't even know a tornado hit sometimes. I mean, that's just the way it is. So it's a little bit different than what we're used to when we have like a Hurricane Irma or something, where you see a lot of stuff for miles and miles. Sometimes it could be more contained, but it is very significant damage. And to have that many people displaced, particularly so many senior citizens, that's a really big deal. And I think that requires a coordinated response, both local, state, and federal. Okay, well, we are going to hear from some folks today who've been affected by this. We're also we're going to do some stuff. So first, let me bring up Ellie and Tony Costales to deliver remarks. They obviously have been impacted by this. So y'all want to come up here?
Good morning, everyone. As you can see behind us, that is what's left of our home. And thank God for the Sheriff's Department for coming in the first day and helping us with the security in many ways and the cleanup. They've done a wonderful job, Governor. And we're working on getting our homes started to get it repaired, because we love it here. And the people in the Spark are very good. Thank you.
All I can say is that we're very much devastated when this happened. Like, we just couldn't believe it, and for weeks you don't know what's happening. You don't know if the insurance company is going to come through. You don't know if you can get a contractor that you trust or a roofer. But thank God we're able to do that. But if it wasn't for the sheriff's office being here, protecting the gate and the people, and coming through in the evening to make sure there's no looters or anybody else here, it was just peace of mind, and we thank the governor for supporting us so much.
Thank you so much.
Of course.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, Ed and Yesenia Murray, you guys want to come up and...
Good morning. We're from Cottage Point, and the unique feature in Cottage Point is my house is laying on its roof. It turned over, completely turned over. For an hour or two, I didn't know where my daughter was, and for 7 hours, I couldn't find my puppy. It was frightening. It's the most frightening thing that has ever happened to me. And then to have some government agency tell you it's not a tragedy. 22 years of memories, your children, your pets, all endangered. This has got to be wrong. There is something definitely wrong in the logic in Washington, D.C. We, the people, we have to stand up for our rights. Here in Florida, we have many, many senior citizens. And in the subdivision I was in, many of them were senior citizens. And they were walking around in a daze that first day. But then we got together. And we're going to stay together. And we're going to stay with the governor. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Okay, Sheriff. Yes, sir.
Thank you for being here today. Thank you. First, my thoughts and my prayers and my heart are with you, as they have been from the very minute this tragedy occurred. I was here minutes, and my team were here minutes after this tornado came through, and it was devastating. And in seconds and minutes, their lives were literally turned upside down. Met by fire, EMS, it was all hands on deck here. When you look at the roadways, you couldn't walk. There were electrical lines down. To say it was devastating is an understatement, because I was here minutes after. talk about the Biden administration and their continuous failures. We've seen them fail on the international level, the national level, and now the state and unfortunate local level. The governor said it right. It's about being a human being and doing what's right. It doesn't matter anything at the end of the day but doing what's right. And thank God for our great governor that stands for just that. Governor, thank you for taking time out of your insanely chaotic schedule. And I know that for a fact. Constant communication from the very minute this happened. Our governor's office was in touch. Anything that we needed, he was there. And those are critical tools for me to get our job done. Our county commission, our county manager, all hands were on deck. And I'm going to tell you right now, we are going to do what's right. We are going to stand with you because we have a leader that's going to make certain of it. God bless all of you for being here today. I mean that.
Kevin Guthrie.
Well, good afternoon. Governor, thank you very much for your leadership on this, and I'm sorry, good morning. Thank you for your leadership on this, Governor. A couple of things that I just want to notate is, it was local government. We talk about a program here at the in emergency management that we're federally supported, state managed, locally executed. And I'm going to get back to that in a few minutes, but it was your local government that came to your aid in your time of need very quickly. Obviously, we informed the governor's office that morning, and I was directed to get down here just as quickly as possible. I left Northeast Florida, got here by about 2 o'clock in the afternoon, and our team went to work right alongside the emergency management folks in Charlotte County and Lee County, and all of our first line public safety officials, to include the sheriff's office, local law enforcement, and then our local fire districts. We could not do this without our state partners. So I'll talk about that state managed response that we had. We had Volunteer Florida here, Elder Affairs, the Department of Persons with Disabilities, Department of Children and Families, Department of Economic Opportunity, Department of Veterans Affairs, Department of Health, and Department of Highway Safety and Motor Vehicles that helped out with getting people their driver's licenses, their marriage certificates, their birth certificates back to them. We could not have done that without that help. We've been working closely with Charlotte and Lisa with their support to continue to help you. At the division, we always say that disasters start at the local level, and this certainly started at the local level. And we're doing everything in our case to manage it. But now we're at that point where we need federal support. It's another tool in the toolbox that we have in the mantra of locally executed, state managed, federally supported. So we're here today asking for the federal government's support in that. 84% of the individuals that were here involved in this disaster are on Social Security income. This is Lee County and Charlotte County's most vulnerable population, and we need to respond accordingly. With that, sir, again, thank you for your leadership on this. We will continue to support everyone that is here, and and Charlotte County as well. Thank you.
When you have situations like this, I mean, obviously the protecting life is first and foremost. And when it first came through, we were holding our breath because we feared that you could have significant number of fatalities. Fortunately, that didn't happen. Obviously, you have a lot of destruction. That's a huge thing for somebody to lose the roof over their head. I mean, that the things you take for granted are gone. But another thing that one of, I think Ed said, when you have these. When you have something like that, all the things you've collected throughout your life, like mementos and all this stuff, that stuff could be gone in an instant, and you take for granted. Like I walk in around my house, I look at the pictures and stuff, and it's almost like you take it for granted. You take all that stuff away, things that you've had. It's a huge deal. That weighs a lot on people emotionally. So there's a lot that goes into this, and our view is we want to make sure that yes, the sheriffs and the counties, they really worked hard on this. You heard what Kevin said. All these state agencies have been involved in it, and we're happy to do that. But we also want to be able to turn on this individual assistance for folks because I think it'll help them just in terms of the physical and be able to have a place to stay. But I also think it'll help them with peace of mind and with some emotional security. When you've gone through something like this, it's not that easy to do. So these are a lot of senior citizens, a lot of folks, sole source of income is Social Security. So if you're going to have an individual assistance program, I think this would be the type of thing that you would want to use it for. So we are sending that appeal, and we're going to keep on fighting to help Floridians who are in time of need. All right, thanks.
Governor, is there anything you would file differently or in supplement to what previously been filed with FEMA to prove the need on the basis of the damage that was done?
Kevin, did we include additional updated?
So what we're going to do is we're going to first of all ensure that all the numbers that we got from the county, both Lee County and Charlotte County, do match. We're going to go back and look now that people are now a month beyond this, what additional or cascading things have happened that are now what we call unmet needs. That would also apply to individual assistance. So we're going to be looking at, now that they're a month out, who had insurance claims denied, who had other expendables that they now have to take care of. Those are the things that we're going to add to our request in our appeal. And again, we should be probably filing that appeal within the next week or two.
Governor DeSantis, as your
Can I ask you a question?
Yep.
The DMV is part of us. We have to change our titles. Excuse me. We have to change our titles, and right now, because of COVID, it's been very strict. I even called that emergency number, but it's of no help. Now, some of these mobile homes are going to have to be changed over. Can we have...
Is that Lee County DMV? Or where?
So
Yes,
ultimately Secretary Rhodes.
Right.
So
Okay.
I'll make sure we get Secretary Rhodes from DHSMV
Okay,
involved in
we
it,
really
and we'll get
need
it
it.
taken care of.
Okay.
We'll help you out, no problem.
Governor, as your sign says, so many of these people need relief right now. While you wait on that appeal from FEMA, is there more money the state has that can help out these folks?
Well, I've told Kevin, if there's things that we can do, we want to be helpful. But I think the thing is that this individual assistance program is a codified program. You follow, there's eligibility, people could get the money, and it's kind of all above board. And that's what states have relied on for years and years and years. And so that is, I think, the best way to be able to get these folks relief. But if there's other avenues, I want Kevin to be exhausting those avenues. But certainly we believe the federal support is something that should come.
And can
Governor-
you talk to what some of those other avenues might be? I know you said...
Well,
that they're
I'll do,
helping in other
you want to
ways.
do, does someone else have one?
Yes,
Yeah.
I had one. I just wanted to ask, if that appeal is denied, what are the next steps for you guys to offer assistance to people affected here?
Well, I think we'll cross the bridge when we come. I mean, Kevin's going to be working on the different options. If you look, I think pretty much every major disaster that Florida's had. I mean, most recently was Surfside, where they had individual assistance support for the families who had been both displaced and I think also the families of people who, unfortunately, we had a number of fatalities. There was a really, really crushing thing, and so they were able to get, and that involved, the Surfside is a little bit different demographic, than here. I mean, this was an oceanfront condominium complex, but even then, and a lot of these people had, more than average means. When you get displaced like that, getting some short-term relief can really go a long way. And then if you look at Irma, if you look at Michael, if you look at those other big events, all had the individual assistance. And so that's always been a key component when you have these really significant disasters. And again, this may have been contained, but where it hit was really, really impactful.
Governor, how has the state helped these people since the tornado hit last month?
Well, Kevin went through a lot of it, but I'll let him elaborate.
So again, when we get to a point like this where we're dealing on a micro level event, even on the macro level events, we still do it the same way. We're at the point of case management, right? So again, if you look around, as I see a gentleman behind you wearing a veteran's hat from the U.S. Coast Guard, we get that person with the Department of Veterans Affairs to see if there's any programs that the state has or the federal government has that will help a veteran recover from something like this. So again, elder affairs, persons with disabilities, Department of Health, things like that, Department of Children and Families. See what programs we have access to that we can turn on to help individuals in their time of need, and then their federal counterpart, see if there's something there. But again, at the end of the day, what would certainly help fast track a lot of that and be a supplement will be the help that the federal individual assistance program provides.
And because it was declined, how has that kind of slowed down the recovery here?
I would say right now it hasn't necessarily slowed down the recovery, because I know that the local emergency management and state emergency management, the state emergency response team, works regardless if we're going to get that declaration or not. We're going to continue to work and help people the way we can. What will slow down is the appeal process. Obviously, it can take up to 30 days. Then they can reply back. We're not going to take 30 days to get it done. We should have that done this next week and send our appeal back up to the White House, or I should say the White House to FEMA, and then on to the White House. So we're going to have that done this next week. They'll have to reply back to that. But again, we're not going to stop working for Floridians, right? We're going to continue doing what we do, but there will be a federal delay based on this.
One of the